Welcome to Makers International, a podcast of makers from 3 countries, 2 continents, and featuring 5 guys separated only by the same language. Here's your host, Richard Morley.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, good times, whatever time it is, and wherever you're listening. Join with me, as always, Mr. Chris Cute.
How you doing, everybody?
I think Alan has left or something because he's not here again. He's got some family stuff. So, Joe Whittaker?
You're right, Sam, yeah.
And I've been really busy this week. So, Jamie, you're kind of off the hook, although not really, because I've finally got the parcel through. So we'll talk in depth about that off air, I think.
Oh, damn.
Hello. And also we have our guest this week, who's a new face to me, because I've obviously been living under a rock. Bobby Duke, how you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, guys, for having me. I really appreciate it.
I've got a funny feeling this is going to be an awesome episode. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this, as always. Very quickly, I'll be back with you in just a second. I'm just going to do our normal shout-outs, etc. So this week's shout-outs and thank yous go to last week's guest, Make It So, The Red Smith, Ragtie, Jake Thompson, Andy Pugh, Jim Dockrell, Crafts with Ellen, Crosscut Creations, Phil Cannon Woodworking, Paul Wilmore, David B, Wacky Woodworks, and Andrew McQuillan. Also, big thanks to everyone who hit the like button, shared, etc., and has been in touch over in the Makers on YouTube Facebook group. So big thanks to everybody. Just a quick mention about our sponsors. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Yorkshire Grit, the Woodturners Abrasive Paste. More information, visit yorkshire-grit.com, and also Chad. Wow, Chad from Mancrafting. We're giving away these mugs, as you probably all know. I've just got mine. Everyone else has got theirs, and they are absolutely awesome. I love it. I genuinely love it. So if you want to find out about those, then visit makersinternationalpodcast.com/sponsors. And actually, I think we can get our hands, or you can get your hands on one potentially as well. Jamie, is that right? You doing?
Yes, you can. We've actually got a sponsorship giveaway going on right now. And I say sponsorship giveaway because we're actually sponsored, like Richard just said, by Chad at Mancrafting and Glyn Senior from Yorkshire Grit. So you can actually win a tub of Yorkshire Grit and a custom Makers International and Mancrafting tumbler. So yeah, it's one winner, 2 prizes. Like I said, you can win a Yorkshire Grit and a tumbler. All you got to do to enter is go over to the website, which is makersinternationalpodcast.com. Go to the tab that says challenges and contests, and there you will find a Glee map. And there you just follow out all the bits and bobs that you need to do. And there's various bits and bobs that you do to get extra entries, and you can go back every other day to get an extra entry if you like. And the contest runs from now and ends midnight on November 25th. And we will do the drawing on the episode of the 26th of November.
So
good luck, everybody.
So next Sunday we'll announce who won, right?
Yeah, next Sunday we will announce it.
So you got a week.
Yep, and that's a worldwide giveaway.
Awesome.
It's not restrained to anybody.
Seriously, if you haven't got one of these Mancrafting mugs, then you're going to want one because they are awesome. Absolutely fantastic. Chris, do you have any random listener questions or anything that you want to talk about in Chris's Corner?
We're not going there. We're going to stop that now. That ends now. By the way, the link for the giveaway is in the description of the video. If you want to look down in the description, the link is there to make it easy. Yes,
I just had a look, and there's nothing in Jamie's page.
Okay, it's Bobby. I apologize for so far. This has just been ugly. Yes, Richard, we do have a quick listener question. It was from it's related to last week's episode that we did with Soph. Andrew McQuillan asks. He says, last week when you were talking about discussing uploading videos to YouTube because a lot of content creators have run into the problem of getting demonetized automatically when they upload. He said Chris said he always schedules his videos now, and he also went on to say that he heard on another podcast that if you schedule your videos, then they are loaded into your subscribers' feeds on the day that you uploaded them, not the day that they were scheduled. What they said was that some subscribers would miss it as it would be way down on a list of videos to watch. Chris, has this ever happened to you? And Andrew, I can answer this by telling you this. I don't know who you were listening to or what they were talking about, but that's not what happens. When you schedule a video to be released to YouTube, it releases it on the day that you say you want it to be released, and it releases it to your subscribers on that day as well. So I don't know if you misunderstood or if the people you were listening to didn't quite know what they were talking about, but no, that's not what happens. Andrew unless somebody else has another input on that, and that's my answer to him is like, Andrew, I think you got it wrong, pal. That's not what happens.
No, if anything, actually, from what I've been told, it's kind of better to schedule a video because YouTube can expect the video to be released on that time. So they can then push it out easier as opposed to a video suddenly becoming uploaded as public and then it's like, oh, quick, get it sent out. It's sitting there for a few days ready to get sent out. And usually the traffic's higher on them.
There you go. So
That
there you go.
makes sense.
That's it.
Cool.
I've heard, can I say something about that?
Sure.
Definitely.
I've heard that you can and just set it to private, and that way you can wait and see if it will be demonetized. And if it is, because it's already on YouTube, the algorithms will look it over and decide to demonetize it or not. And then after that, you can do the appeal. The appeal can go through. They can, actually look at the video. And once it goes through and it gets the green light again, then publish it.
Bobby, that may work. I've never
heard of
tried it that way. I've never tried it that way because I've always scheduled mine for like 3 days in advance. That way I had time to look to see if YouTube was going to flag it. And then when they did flag it, I appealed it automatically. And typically they handled it within like a day and a two's time. So on the third day that I had scheduled to be released, it was cleared. It was good to go. Oh. So it may work both ways. I've never tried it the way you're talking about though.
Yes, I'm assuming that's basically the same thing. The algorithm has a chance to look at. In fact, my most recent video has been demonetized.
Wow.
I've already done the appeal. Yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
Surely with a channel your size, you fairly quickly hit that 1,000 view threshold anyway.
Yeah,
but that's not even required. I mean, they're not even currently running it that way. You don't need 1,000 views on a video in order to get it, because you can't put a video to private and get 1,000 views. It's just not going to happen. I mean, they review it.
That is a good point, because it does say whenever it is demonetized and you hit the appeal or the manual review button, that it says only videos that have 1,000 views plus will be doing the manual review. So that is a good point. So you can upload it, set it to private, it'll have zero views. If it gets pinged or demonetized, then you're right, they're not going to even be looking at it. I didn't even think of that.
Well, actually, Bobby, but the way I've done it, and most of my videos don't even get 1,000 views. Before my videos have even got 1 view, YouTube, I've gone ahead and put the little claim in to say, hey guys, review this, and they've done it without any views on the video whatsoever. So I don't know what that whole 1,000 thing is all about, man. I think that maybe they're setting that for the future, so that when things get crazy and maybe this algorithm gets a little smarter, they may actually hold that as a threshold. But right now, they're not apparently adhering to it.
Right. Huh. That's weird. I have no idea what's going on with YouTube.
Yeah,
and
man.
That whole...
Yeah. God, good luck. Who does?
It's a mess.
I'm not sure YouTube knows what's going on with YouTube.
No, I don't think so.
It's such a changing landscape anyway, though, isn't it? To try and keep up with everything and all the rest of it. So
yeah,
just keep doing what you're doing. It'll settle, no doubt.
Yeah,
right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Who wants to kick off the questions for Bobby? I think there's an obvious one to start with, but has anyone got something they want to dive in first?
It's kind of always best to start with that one unless anybody else has. I mean, Alan is usually the one that always goes with the origin question, but Alan isn't here as always. Like we got the rule, if I'm on, Alan can't be on and vice versa. So we got that sorted at least. But basically, he always asks, what is your origin story. What got you started in making? Like, gave you that first bug to get started? What did you do when you began? Literally, how did it start?
Okay, making, well, art and making, I guess both. It started when I was young. I had art classes that I was going to, and that is what got starting in art. And I started when I was like 10, maybe. Judy Sager was my art teacher. Just amazing artist, amazing person. That got the spark and the interest going. And wood carving specifically, that started when I was a little kid and got a pocket knife, started whittling a stick. I think it was camping. I was camping or something like that. There were some other boys there. I whittled a little dagger, and sorry, my clock is ringing. Anyways, I carved the dagger. All the kids, they loved it and wanted one, so I whittled one for all my friends, and we walked around the woods with our little wooden knives, and that kind of, and there's the banana bread.
That's when
sorry.
International. These.
Go on, Bobby. Go and sort out your banana.
Go ahead. Go.
1 second. My wife has banana bread in the oven. I just got to open.
No, man. No, that's it. You know what? That's why Alan's not here, because we all know the wife, and the podcast is secondary to the wife, and no matter who you are and what you're doing. That's cool, man.
Okay.
What you should have done is screamed and gone to go and sort it out.
Tell you forgot.
Oh man. Okay. So origins.
Here we go.
All right. And once I just kind of figured I had a knack for it, it just snowballed, and I started carving more, sculpting. It started with like terracotta clay, the kind that you have to fire in a kiln. Then I found Sculpey, which is a polymer clay, and just started experimenting with that. Then as I got older, I had to get a job, so I started making cabinets and getting into more actual traditional woodworking, and built my skills there, really, in cabinetry, like high upscale cabinets. And then I've done remodeling and faux painting. Do you know what faux painting is?
I'm not familiar with that.
It's where you recreate a specific look or texture, or like, say, if you want your wall to look like marble, you paint it so all the little speckles and all so there's a lot of artistic stuff, the artistic eye that goes into it to be able to recreate it. So I did that for a while. I don't know. I've always been interested in making things, creating things, building models, carving, sculpting, but it all started at a really young age. Like I think everybody who gets into this, and just kept trying new things and figured out how to do it if I didn't know how. So yeah, that's kind of the origin story. Started when I was little and just progressed from there.
So, I mean, other than the time that you spent with Judy Sager, you've never really had any formal art schooling. I mean, that's basically been it. You've just had kind of an eye and a talent for doing it I would assume through hard work and practice. But it's not like you went to college to become an artist. I mean, this is just something that's always been within you.
Right. Yeah, it's always been a hobby. And I mean, yeah, Judy Sager definitely laid the foundation and gave me different ways of looking at things and thinking a certain way, and just developing that further. Because I think it was from about age 10 to I'm somewhere around 13 is when I took those art lessons. I think it was about 13. Yeah, most of it's just been trial and error, watching YouTube videos, being inspired by things I see around me, and pretty much.
Because I'm not familiar with the name Judy Sager. I'm presuming that is a relatively well-known artist that does she's not a teacher per se, is that right?
She is a teacher. She's better known here in Fort Worth, Texas. She is recognized in the art community at large, but She runs the Fort Worth Women's Club and has like an art class there. She also has her own studio at her house. She's very involved in the art community here locally.
Right.
But I always like to, since I love her, she's just a great lady. And I've known her since I was 10, in fact, I literally a month ago was at her house painting her window frames. We still keep in touch. We're still friends. I always like to give her a shout out whenever I can, just because she has been influential, to me, more than anyone else as far as art's concerned.
Oh, that's really cool. No, I mean, what I was kind of meant was she's not necessarily a school teacher. Because am I right in saying that you didn't do mainstream school? Were you homeschooled, was it, or?
Yes, yeah. That's another reason. Like if there was a special subject, then I had to go to a tutor, or there were some parts of schooling that were outside of my mom's range of expertise. Like I took physics and chemistry and biology outside of the home, but everything from elementary school all the way through high school, I was completely homeschooled. I've never been inside any kind of a traditional public or private school my whole life. Even college, when I did college, it was online, And I don't have a degree, but when I did the couple of years of college that I did.
I suppose there's a lot of pluses, and I guess there's some negatives to that as well. I mean, the pluses have got to be that, man, you really found out who you were without anybody else's influence, probably at a very early age because of that. I mean, you didn't have the, I guess you call it peer pressure to do things. I mean, you were just kind of on your own, so you did what Bobby wanted to do when Bobby wanted to do it. I mean, you kind of figured out who you were pretty early, I would assume.
Exactly. Yeah, there's pluses and minuses, I'm sure both of them, because I was able to learn at my own rate and absorb the topics at the speed that I needed to. And like, I didn't even learn to read until I think I was like 10 or 11. I was really actually really slow learner in certain topics. Others, I went way excelled at. Yeah, that is one thing I totally agree with, as far as I was able to find out who I was and not have to be worried about impressing people or fitting other people's expectations of me. And there was the negative part was I didn't have a huge group of friends like you would in normal school, but I did have a different set of friends. I also went to what's called home church. It's not a standard church that most people would go to in a organized building. I was very isolated, from at the outside world. That my parents were very sheltering, but I kind of got to be in my own head a lot more, and I don't know, figure out who I was, and I don't know, that's kind of helped me, I think, in developing my personality.
Cool. And of course, no standing around in the rain waiting for the school bus. So
true.
Yeah. And you weren't subjected to school lunches either. Oh my God.
Yeah, I've never been on a school bus. Yeah, no, my mom would.
That's only trouble. You can't fake it.
Going to school is literally waking up, eating breakfast, and then going to my room. And a lot of the curriculums we used were self-teaching curriculums, where the book would teach me and I would follow the book, and then my mom would grade it at the end. So it was different. I don't really know what's like being in a school. A lot of question I would get is, well, do you like it? Is it, do you like it? I'm like, well, do you like school? I have nothing to compare it to. So yeah, I guess I like it. It's all I knew.
No, there's going to be pluses and minuses for all of those kind of things. But when I was looking through, I did actually do a little bit of prep for today. If you're listening, I did. We were talking about you studied rotorcraft, aeronautical science, and for helicopters, didn't you?
I did.
So are you just very briefly able just to talk us very quickly through the Coriolis effect or the dissymmetry of flight with rotor heads?
Oh gosh, that was several years ago. But yeah, I mean, I had to take all those classes on meteorology, aviation law, the law behind it. There's a lot of classes that don't translate very well over to any other degree. So I'm glad I was able to gain that knowledge, but yeah, I could go into the Coriolis effect, but
awesome. we can talk about that afterwards, and the other three will go to sleep.
Let's do not blow the opposite direction in Australia because of the Coriolis effect. It doesn't work like that.
That's going to cause arguments in the chat, I'm sure.
Oh god.
But I was kind of being facetious and having a bit of a joke about it at the same time. But one thing that struck me, and the reason behind it was, there's a very different kind of almost bipolar set of circumstances there. You've got the very math-heavy, physics-based thing, and then actually you've got the very art-based thing that you're obviously known for and very good at as well. One of the videos that I was quite surprised to see was when you carved a tiny little sword from a carpenter's pencil, and it was to me it was so refreshing. If anyone hasn't seen this video, it is phenomenal, because I see these pictures on things like Instagram and Facebook where somebody's carved something like that, and you just think, that's fake. There's no way, that must be like an 18-foot long pencil. It's about a foot in diameter. And no, they're real. You actually, how do you do that?
Well, I did actually break the first try, like you can see in the video. I really did break it, and I was really frustrated, and the whole throwing it down, like I was like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I didn't have hours and hours into it, but still, anytime you get to a certain point and it just ruins it, that sucks. So really, I mean, if you watch the video, I used a couple of tools. One was like a scalpel or a scalper, and
we'll get onto the kind of mechanics of the video in a second.
Yeah, very carefully and tiny little strokes, hardly any pressure, and it really didn't take as long as a lot of people think. I think the whole carving part, if you were to document exactly how much time, I think it took me about 4 hours.
Wow, that's
to do the whole pencil.
I'm going to guess that Joe's just taken down that timestamp.
No, I'm actually looking. I'm being kind of rude at the moment because I'm glad you brought up about the pencil, and I forgot to get it up before. There's a local artist to me, and he does all carvings inside of needle, the eyes of a needle.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen that.
To mention his name, and I'm still kind of looking, so kind of carry on while I'm still being rude.
I don't care. No, I'm amazed.
I've got a quick question for you then. Mark Lindsay, CNC, says, in 25 words or less, explain transitional lift.
Oh, please don't.
Oh,
please don't. Please don't. And Mark, shut it.
Don't put me on the spot. Oh, man.
All right. Okay. Then we've got a question from Jake Thompson. He said, if you had to live somewhere besides Texas, where would you live?
Oh boy, I've thought about that a lot, because I live in Texas because it's where I am and because my family's here. But I would love to move somewhere with mountains or all the seasons, get snow and have a transition, because it just goes from super hot to kind of cold and slushy and wet for the winter, and then back to really hot, and I don't know. I think maybe somewhere in the Carolinas, that would be pretty amazing, like in the Blue Ridge or the Smoky Mountains.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful country.
Yeah, I mean, I would love something like that. I don't know, maybe even, I don't know. I love nature. I love trees and rivers and wilderness, and where I live there is some of that, but most of the time most of it's pastures and mesquite trees, so some place like that, someplace beautiful, but still in the US.
I'll just quickly jump in because I found his name. His name is Willard Wigan. So I'll put that in the chat because I know people can't understand how I speak. But he's local to me, and he does like all the carvings inside the Ivan Needle. So following on from that pencil carving that you did, I really think he'd enjoy at least looking through the pictures on Google Images. He does brilliant stuff.
I think I know who you're talking about. Because I've done a lot of Google image searches on things like that. You know, that guy does some amazing, crazy, way smaller than what I did. You know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. There's one more that I've got from over in the chat from Andy Pugh, and he says, "How did Bobby get into rock shaping?"
It was totally just a spontaneous thing. When I was like the very first rock carving video I put out where I make the heart pendant, I was just out at the creek having fun with my family. And I kind of in the back of my mind, I'm always thinking of what could I do next that's interesting or unique or whatever. And I was looking down at all these rocks. I was like, I wonder if I could carve one of these. So it was just spur of the moment, literally in the video. Like if you watch the beginning of the video, I'm like, hey, and I have my phone with me. And that's how I record all my videos. It's just on my phone. So I just pulled my phone out and was like, you know, let's look for some cool looking rocks and see if we can carve them. I had no idea that it would work. And I used the tools that I had available, which was a belt sander and, you know, a rotary carver and files and sandpaper.
Because you can't do it without a rotary carver, can you?
Oh man, I tried. I was like, I really wanted to do it with just files and stuff, but I was like, dude, it is. You could totally do it with only files and hand tools, but I'm like, man, and that thing is calling to me out there. It could make this go so much faster. So I had to break down and use it.
Well, no, I think that. Well, so you've done a couple of those videos where you've carved rocks and turned them into different objects, and I think you did a Q&A once where you somebody actually asked you what kind of rotary tool that was, and you're using a Harbor Freight rotary tool kind of thing, aren't you? I mean, you know, yeah. So this isn't, you know, it's if somebody wanted to do that, it's not, you know, I mean, because. I mean, and that Harbor Freight actually does have some decent tools. I mean, that thing's been going for you for a couple of years, from what I understand from the Q&A that you did.
The original one, okay, I did buy a new one because the original one, the motor works, the pedal works. It's just the flexible shaft eventually gave out, but that was like almost 15 years of hard use. So,
wow.
And the motor still works fine. The motor's fine. I just honestly didn't want to try to hunt down a new flex shaft part, just the part. Right. And I was like, you know what? I think it's time to break down and buy another one. I found one for like $60.
Oh,
you know, I mean, for that price, I mean, I don't know. I am a fan of their stuff because it is what I could afford.
Right. No, I mean, we've all been there. I mean, you can either, you know, if we were all born with enough money to go out and buy top of the line everything, then and we would never know any different. But I mean, you know, you get by with what you have and what you can afford, you know, and it's obviously that worked for you.
Yeah. And I was determined to still create, but within my budget. I mean, like that hook video, if you guys have seen it, that whole thing was made with 2x4s.
If we've seen
Bobby,
how many views has it got?
7 million people have seen that video. Yeah, I think we've had a look.
Okay.
Even I've seen that one.
Yeah. So,
go ahead, Bobby.
I was just saying, it's also to demonstrate that you don't need fancy tools. You do not need exotic materials. You can use whatever's around you and whatever you have available to you, like rocks or 2x4s or who knows, you know, whatever you can get a hold of. So that's another reason I like working with basic cheap stuff.
And you know, I know that was that hook that you were talking about is probably, and I maybe I'm wrong, but I'm guessing it's probably your most popular video that you put out with the most views as far as that goes, anyway. But it's really hard to pick a favorite of anybody's work.
Yeah.
And we may end up asking you which one is your favorite later on, but and I can't say that I have a favorite that you've done, but I have one that I remember, and I don't know that it would be the same one that everybody would say. There was a video that you did that I looked at it and went, wow, I really appreciate how he did this. And it was that video, I think you titled it, I Made This From 2x4s.
Oh.
Great project, first of all. But, man, I'm telling you.
I don't remember which video.
The editing that you did in that video was outrageous. It was great.
It was the one where it's a curly sort of.
Yeah, and you hung it on the wall. Yeah.
Art made with 2x4s. Yeah, honestly, that one I am almost. I could almost answer your question now.
Go ahead.
As far as which one am I most proud of? It's probably that video, like, because of. I mean, I'm still trying to learn my whole editing style, and I think I'm kind of finding it. But I spent a long time editing that one, trying to sync everything up to the music and getting all the shots and the time lapses and the everything. Like, there's a lot in that video, and it's not my most popular, but it's still definitely one of my favorites easily.
Well, it's the one I mean, obviously I think of the hook because oh no, you're welcome. I mean, because I having to sat down and edit a few videos, on the side myself, I looked at that and went, that took him quite some time to do. And I was just like, I really appreciated what you put into that video, and it turned out really well. I mean, I'm not trying to belittle what the project was about because it came out fantastic. I looked at it from a different perspective as somebody who does that, and I went, that's really good. I mean, so you must have spent some time on that.
I did, and honestly, I'm better. I'm faster editing now than I was back then. That's why it took me so long, because I was still having to Google and watch YouTube videos on just how to learn the software I was using. So, like, I didn't know how to do something to, like, say flip something or make something run in reverse, or just all the little aspects that no one thinks about that's in the video. Yeah, so it took a long time, just the editing, probably as long as the actual project.
All right, well, let's go ahead and ask the follow-up question then. Do you have a personal favorite video that you have done?
Well, be in the top 2 or 3. I really like the sword pencil carving. I just had so much fun, making that video and doing the voiceover and the British accent.
Is that what it was?
Or at my poor attempt at a posh British accent. So the pencil carving one, I made art made from 2x4s, and yeah, probably those two. I really like the humor and comedy that I'm putting into the newer ones. They're definitely fun to make. They're just me being stupid and goofy and myself, and so I don't know. The older videos, not so much, just because they seem kind of bland, and I was still really totally new to YouTube, but if I had to give a top 2, it'd probably be those two, the pencil and then the art made from 2x4s.
Well, I was hoping you were going to say the sword that you made for your nephew, actually, because to me, it embodied the whole simplicity of just making it out of a 2x4. For one thing, it built in your obvious artistic background with the kind of almost the prop making size and making it actually look like it was made of metal and wood and gold and all the rest of it. But also, to me, it brought across just how much of a family man you are, which kind of comes into some of the other videos as well, like the stone pendant where you're trying to rescue a flip-flop in the creek.
Yeah.
And just the excitement on the kid's face, both at the start and at the end. I thought that was absolutely awesome. And the very best thing, though, is when you started trying to cut with a scroll saw. And have you seen this one, Jamie? I just thought, this scroll saw it's never going to work. That is going to break. He's going to regret that. And then it did. I was like, get the jigsaw out, or use a bandsaw or something. It's like, yes, my faith is restored.
Yeah, I mean, I like that video too, and I guess all of them, because it shows my journey and what I'm doing, but they're all very, very slight varying degrees of how much I like them. I do like that one too. And Cole, that's my nephew. My little sister's son. He's awesome. Super awesome kid.
I mean, he obviously enjoyed that.
Yes.
Wasn't Bobby's scroll saw picture your favourite one, Richard?
Yeah, well, let's not get into semantics.
Just wondering, that's all.
That's good. Do you do much work with Sculpey and polymer clays and things that don't necessarily translate or make it into a video? Because I really enjoyed the Snoopy one. I thought that was just awesome.
Thanks. That was actually a gift for my sister Kristen. She had a Snoopy doll when she was a little kid, and Snoopy was like her favorite character, and I just decided to make that for her. I was like, why don't I just record it, you know? And that's how a lot of things end up being. It's either a gift for somebody, and I'm just decided to record myself making it. What was the original question? I totally forgot.
So did I. So did I completely. I mean, do you use other polymer clays or do a lot of it? Because it came across, because it's quite a long, in-depth, almost tutorial-like video, and you're talking about the little details, like part baking bits of it and baking it and then gluing it and not the other way around, and the reasons why. So there's a lot of educational, and it came across like you really know about working with polymer clays. So,
well, I found polymer clays, I don't know, when I was in my late teens, and so I have a lot of sculptures that I've done before YouTube.
Right.
Most of them are at my parents' house, elves and animals and different things, and so just I've learned my own technique in working with them, but it's not been a lot. Like, I don't work with them all the time. So yeah, I had prior experience, but most of it was, reading forums or watching videos on how to use them myself, and then just putting that into my own work, realizing it worked, and then passing on the information, through. So,
have you ever used the precious metal clays?
No,
they're like, I mean, I've not used them myself, but they're almost like the plasticine pre-baked Sculpey, but then you fire it and it actually turns into a metal.
Really?
And they're called precious metal clays because they've got like a gold or a silver content, so you can make jewelry, and then you fire it and you end up with like a gold ring or whatever.
Like, do you have to fire it in a kiln, or can you do it in an oven?
I'm not sure. No, I think you use a blowtorch actually.
Really?
Yeah, like a plumber would use.
That sounds fun.
Dude,
that sounds like fun.
That sounds like something I need to look into. Because I love playing with fire.
Yeah,
and I love.
Damn, Richard, you got me interested now. Let's play. I mean, you talk. Give a boy some clay and an open flame, and let's go.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll ask Kat later, because she used to do that stuff. So I'll.
We've got a couple more questions. We've got one from Sterling Davis says, "What does hippo poop taste like?"
I know what you're talking about.
I know what he's talking about.
You want to let him know what they're talking about?
In one of Bobby's videos, when he's painting, is it Majora mask? I don't know.
Majora's Mask, yeah.
He was painting it, and he was doing a little skit where the paint was going all over his face.
It's like,
well, when he was getting to the darker paint, I edited a picture like a hippo was farting, and it was excrement was going all over his face. And
that made me laugh.
I edited it together, and yeah, as you can imagine,
that was pretty funny.
So yeah, there's
creative genius on display once again.
So there's that one, and the other one is Ragtie. God bless him. He was a bit poorly the other day when I last spoke to him. He said, "What's your dream project?"
Oh man, well, the project that I've been procrastinating on, and that I've been working on for a long time, I've already have hundreds of hours into it, is the sword that I'm making with geeksmithing, the Frostmourne sword. So that one I'm really excited about. It still daunts me because it still has so much left to do. And I'm trying to keep videos coming out. That's one of the reasons I keep procrastinating on it, because I know how much time's still left on it. I'm trying to keep the video coming out, but so I keep pushing it back, and I just need to get on it and do it. But I have some other projects that like really big projects, like 12, 15 foot long and big, massive wooden sculptures, like that I want to get into. That's kind of where, but I just don't have the room or the budget for that much wood and a studio to house it in until I'm done. And then what am I going to do with it when I'm done, you know? I want to start making some massive things and creating, not just because they're big, but just because they need to be big, you know, for the design aspects of them. Because when they're little, because I actually have one of them kind of mocked up in balsa, and it looks weird, but if it's a big sculpture, it needs to be big, you know. That's the way it should be. So those are some big dream projects, some large sculptures. Also the Frostmourne sword, it's one that I'm working on, just need to finish.
I'm glad you mentioned about having space, actually, because one of the things I noticed, other than like the whole family getting involved with the big hook sculpture that you did, you just come home with a load of wood and then lay out a load of bits of paper on the living room floor and start gluing it up, and just you can hear people, like, I think it must be your wife asking one of your kids whether they tidied their room, because you know, the family life still happens around what you're doing, and that it was so cool, because we tend to watch videos which are kind of hidden away from that. We all go into the garage or wherever it is we make, and there you are, just it's family, we just crack on and do that, and then you're on the porch carving and sanding and things like that.
You should see my porch. Right now it has gouges in the wood and burn marks and paint splattered all over. It's my my wife, my wife is amazing. Like, she puts up with so much, because when I get into this, I'm such a messy creator when I'm making art. Like, I literally use something and put it down just at arm's length and reach and then grab something else and come back in, because it's like I got to get it out of me as fast as I can. And so, I end up with this huge path of destruction around me that I then have to clean up. But it's left its marks on the kitchen table and the front porch, and
There's one quick question I wanted to ask about the hook, and we actually sort of covered it on Eloy's show. After you did the hook, you done the dressing up thing with the grass skirt and all that lot. But under the grass skirt, boxers or briefs?
They were actually boxer briefs. So they were both. In fact, you see me snapping the waistband, and that's all I'm wearing are boxer briefs and the grass skirt. Like, I'm literally in my underwear.
I just looked at the clock and I thought, damn, I ain't asked the question.
Bobby, I've got one more question for you, because we've talked about your artistic background. We've talked about your carving. You did faux painting. You're working with clay and things of that nature. But I also noticed in one of your videos, and it may have been the Q&A video that you did as well, I noticed that in the background you have a keyboard. Do you play, or is that somebody else in your family? You do. Okay, so your artistic skills.
No, I mean, I used to play. I play around on it now. Like, I can play half of a bunch of songs, but not all of any songs. I used to be able to read music, can't really anymore. So it's more of just a toy. It's not even a high-end keyboard. My kids play with it. Yeah, it's usually on that chair. Someone's usually playing with it. I used to be a drummer. That's actually what, as far as music goes, that was my passion. I played in a Christian boy band for like 4 or 5 years.
Well, you know what?
Yeah, it was. That was.
Well, you know, every time I meet somebody who is artistically inclined as you are, it doesn't surprise me to learn that, you know, they are also musically inclined too, because they seem to kind of go together somehow. you're not inhibited. I mean, I know there's some, and just like anything else, there's a lot of learning that needs to go into playing music. And a lot of practice to actually make it sound good. I mean, because when my son was in school, he wanted to play the trumpet. And for 3 years, I'm telling you, you wouldn't want to live in this home because the boy would be up in his room practicing that thing, and it sounded like he was killing the hippo that Jamie put in the video.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I have 3 daughters, and they all learn instruments, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's listen to the off-tune clarinet again for 4 hours tonight, honey. All right.
Exactly.
Here we go.
Yeah, Jamie's a master on the skin flute, ain't you?
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah. Forever blowing away at it.
I couldn't resist.
And the show degenerates as usual. Thank you, Joe.
Save us. One question that I'm conscious of the time, Joe, but you brought it on yourself with this. Would you classify yourself, Bobby? I don't want to pigeonhole anyone. I don't expect you to, but maker or artist, or something else?
I think that art or making art fits into the maker category. So I'm creating, may not be functional like a lot of things that makers are making. So I don't know. I think they kind of work both ways. And even something like a beautiful cabinet or a unique table or whatever, it's art. It's just functional art,
Yeah.
I think I fit into the category of maker that makes more non-functional art. It's just there to be enjoyed and looked at.
That's a good answer, because you're absolutely right. They making art is making, therefore maker, but there's a more artistic side to that functionality. And the work that you do is, beautiful is the word that springs to mind.
Thank you.
But I was curious as to where you saw yourself. That was behind that.
I don't know. I guess I tell people I'm an artist, I'm a maker. So I guess artist.
But yeah, like you've already said, it works on both levels in both camps. So that's
yeah, exactly.
Cool. Anybody else?
Instagram name's not Bobby Duke Makes.
True.
Well, there is that. Yeah. Sometimes you've got to market yourself for other people to understand or to relate to more than perhaps you.
If anybody asks, hey, Bobby, what are you? Just look at them and go, well, I'm awesome. Okay.
Why don't you start doing that?
That's the answer. Because why define yourself? And what are you? Well, I'm pretty freaking awesome. What are you?
Oh man, you guys are silly.
I like that though. It works. Then they look at you like they look at you like you're stuck up and walk away, and they don't bother you anymore. That's fine.
So you're working on this big collaboration with Geeksmithing.
Wes.
Yeah.
Wes Swain. Yeah.
That's a big project, fairly long drawn out, and you've already alluded to the fact that you're trying to still put videos out whilst that's going on. Are you trying to stick to sort of a regular schedule, or is it when it's ready that it comes out?
Well, that one it's going to take some more time. So, but as far as schedule, I'm not nailing down. That's why I don't have a video every whatever day. I'm trying to put one out about once a week, because typically I'll publish a video, then I'll have like a couple of days where I just kind of don't think about anything, YouTube related or art, or I try to keep up with comments and social media or whatever. But then I start working on the project. That usually takes a few days, and then there's the editing process. Sometimes, like recently, I've been editing as I've been making the whatever it is that the video is about. That way, at the end, I'm not like on the footage that I have to put together, whatever. So I'm trying once a week, but sometimes it's going to be longer or shorter, because YouTube is not my job yet. You know, I still have to provide, you know, for my family in other ways. It definitely is supplementing the income, which it's being a larger and larger part of that. So until I can do this completely full time, I just can put video out whenever I can, you know, which is about once a week.
Sure. So what do you do other than the YouTube side then, if we've got time to go there?
Well, yeah, it's not a real long explanation. I was a truck driver for like 10, 11 years, but I quit that because, and I was an owner. It's called an owner operator. So I owned my own trucks and trailers and drove all over the United States and Canada and everywhere. But that was taking way too much time away from my family. And also I just got to the point where I couldn't stand it anymore. You know, it was just so boring and monotonous and dealing with people driving, and, you know, it just, so I switched from that to something that I could do at home. And that was sell roofs or roofs or however you pronounce it. But yeah, so I do roof selling part-time. I knock on doors. Hi, I'm Bobby Duke, you know, blah, blah, blah. Would you like a free inspection? I go around and do that. So that helps. And then YouTube. And then also I was, up until really recently, taking commissions for pieces. But now that YouTube, my channel's kind of taken a priority over commissions, because I don't have time to do all three and post a video regularly.
Sure.
You know, there's a lot just involved.
Bobby, I mean,
so, yeah.
I guess if you would be so inclined, you'd already be doing it, but I'll just throw this out there. Can you do videos on some of the commissions, and maybe kind of kill two birds with one stone at that? Or is it kind of something that would take more time and you kind of got to get the commission out the door? I mean, I'm just wondering if there's a way for you to integrate the two so you can kind of, like I said, kill two birds with one stone.
Possibly. I did have someone contact me recently about making another mask, so that may be a possibility, but 90% of the emails I get and messages I get are about making more hooks.
So, okay. And you've been there. You've been there and done that as far as you're concerned on videos.
Yeah, I've got the one video that blew up, and then I've got a tutorial series, and, you know, I just can't keep putting out hook videos, you know.
Gotcha.
So that's why I'm actually working on one right now. It's the last one that I've agreed to do for, I don't know how long, but for at least the foreseeable future right now. You know, in the future, who knows? But
okay.
But yeah, yeah, that is something, you know. And that's the thing is most of the things that I put in my videos are things that I get inspired of and want to make. And making things that other people want me to make, I don't know. I'm sure I could do it, but I'm really weird about, like, I have to really be into what I'm doing.
It can sometimes detract from the joy of doing whatever it is, the fact that you've got to do it.
Right, yeah, that is another thing.
And potentially that can come across in the video and the end result as well. So it's a sort of a double-edged sword, as it were.
Right.
Excellent. So when you're not selling roofs or making hooks or videos and all the other things that you do whilst on the back of a truck, what do you watch? YouTube channels? I mean, who inspires you, and who do you like to?
I watch a lot of YouTube. That's kind of my routine at night when I'm trying to get ready for bed and chill out. I usually whip out the phone and watch YouTube videos. I don't know. I have I'm subscribed to a lot of people. I would say, like, Philip DeFranco. I watch his videos. I watch Casey Neistat. Let me just look through put me kind of on the spot. I'm blanking.
So Joe's getting all excited now. I can tell, because you've mentioned
two of his big boys. Yeah, it's okay.
Oh yeah. So I really like George Sprave. You know, the Slingshot channel. Yeah. That guy. He's hilarious. Yeah. Great Scott is it's like well, he just does electronics, and even though I don't know tons about electronics, there's something appealing about watching people way smarter at me and a subject talk about the thing that they're passionate about. I never. I mean, I built a couple of Nixie clocks that are called Nixie tube clocks and stuff, and piddled around with it. But smarter every day. Let's see. And I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Alaris?
Sebastian.
Yeah, I watched him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Oh, hilarious. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, this guy named Keith Appleton. I watch him every night. He makes model steam locomotives, and I love watching people make stuff and be really meticulous about it. Oh, ClickSpring! Oh my gosh, ClickSpring! That guy. That is like my ASMR. Watching that guy build stuff and how perfectionist. Watching him sit there and file something until it's got a mirror finish or whatever. I love watching people be perfectionists about what they're doing. That's what I enjoy.
That's a good way to put it. Okay. Yeah.
Very cool.
I like it.
So there's a lot more. I mean, H3 production.
Calm yourself, Joe.
Oh yeah. So Bobby, stop now before Joe embarrasses himself.
This is the only time Joe's not giving anyone an evil eye. He just say, "No, I don't care about the edit."
Yeah, there's a lot. BigClive.com. It's Gigo. I forget how to say his last name.
Oh, Eloy.
Eloy. You know, and I do watch a lot of the maker communities or not woodwork, but videos. James Brutton and even a lot of the guys in the group. You know, I watch their videos too.
Well, Bobby, what are you working on? Do you have anything that you can fill us in that we can expect to see from you any time in the near future?
I was thinking about making another letter opener, but doing a theme like a video game themed or movie, some kind of pop culture letter opener. So detailed but this big, and that's something in the future. I'll probably be doing more rock pendant videos, just trying to be more like branch it out and be a little more creative in that medium. Also the sword video that's in the works. There's a lot of stuff that I want to do. I want to eventually get into glass blowing, all kinds of stuff.
Oh man, cool. That's awesome.
Wicked. Jamie, do you want to very quickly, and the last thing I want to do is offend anybody, because I don't particularly want to end the show, if I'm perfectly honest, and sorry Joe, but I could talk about this all night. Jamie, do you want to very quickly run onto the giveaway? Just
again?
Yeah, why not? Make sure, because we've got some cool stuff to think just before we sort of close down. And
we're doing the giveaway, and you can win a custom man grafting tumbler with a podcast logo and Chad's logo on it, and you can also win a tub of Yorkshire grit. So thanks to Chad and Glyn for that. That goes until the midnight of the 25th of November. So it's 2 prizes, 1 winner. And you head over to the Makers International Podcast website, which is makersinternationalpodcast.com. You go to the tab at the top of the page that says Challenges and Contests. And there you click on that, you'll find a Glee map, and you just click all the bits and bobs that you need to do to sign in and enter, and there you go. Robert is your mother's brother.
Brilliant. I'm sure
you're cracking me up.
I'm sure we've all got things, videos that we've been watching, but we'll just put them down in the description, I think, rather than if you want to know what we've been watching, find out in the description. But Bobby, mate, this has been fantastic, interesting. The work that you put out is fantastic. But if people out there listening, like me, didn't know who you were earlier this week, where can they find you and start getting into your projects?
I really am only on 3. I mean, I have a Twitter, but I don't do much on it. But basically, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. YouTube's the primary one, but it's just Bobby Duke Arts. That's my YouTube channel name. Facebook is, I think, just Bobby Duke Art. I forgot to add the S. And then
That's just for one project.
Yeah, and then Instagram is just at Bobby Dugarts also. So
Awesome.
That's pretty much it.
So, I mean, your channel has already been exploding this week from like 100,000 up to 150 plus. So I'm sure everyone knows where you are anyway. But yeah, definitely go head
if
over.
I had Harbour Freight over here, I'd have 150,000 subscribers.
If I had a Harbor Freight, right?
You had Harbor Freight.
You got Silver Line, Jamie, and be happy with it.
That's funny.
Very true. But Bobby, thank you for coming on and subjecting yourself to our frivolity and stupidity on a Sunday evening. It's genuinely been good fun, and hopefully you could be able to stick around for a few minutes afterwards, and we'll start talking about the transition from vertical to horizontal flight on rotorcrafts.
No,
Yeah.
no, we won't. No, we won't. No, we won't.
Ground effect and all that good stuff.
Oh, God help me.
Yes.
Yeah, no, guys, thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's an honor. It's been a blast. I really, really appreciate it.
Cool,
Thank
good
you.
stuff.
The honour's ours. It's been brilliant.
It's always good fun. So we'll put links to Bobby in the usual place, and obviously if you're still interested, the stuff what we've been watching also. But Bobby, thanks for coming on. Thanks to everyone for listening. If you are indeed still listening, hopefully you are. So yeah, we'll see you all next week. So you all take care.
Have a great week, everybody.
Take it easy.
Bye.